too many, sorry.
All right, so for quick introductions, if everybody could just jump in the chat, give us your name, the program name that you are running either this summer or throughout the school year, and give us the age ranges of kids that you are serving. Chat should be open, and feel free to jump in there. Or if we have such a small group, you can come off mute and introduce yourself. Thank you. You're a parent. These are definitely activities that could be done with kids at home easily over the summer, or anytime really. Minister Boardley, I know you're not shy. You want to jump off mic and say hello?
Hello, everybody. Minister Brian Boardley. The program is OPWWEE, Be More Wet, Urban Fishing Clinic. Can't remember what else we were supposed to say, but my program over the summer is designed to do or give kids environmental education. They will learn how to catch invasive blue catfish, study the osprey, water eagles, and attend Anne Arundel Community College to see the horseshoe crab program, run down the Eastern Shore of Cambridge to do Horn Point oyster hatchery as well. So they're going to get a lot of environmental enrichment, conservation. I'm in touch if you got some kids that want to get on the water.
Thank you. That sounds awesome, by the way. Always exciting. Diana, I'm so sorry to hear about the loss of your funding. Hopefully there'll be alternatives and things will be turning around at some point. But we're glad that we have you here. That leaves Tiana and then Ray, who works with us at most as a AmeriCorps member. Tiana, you want to introduce yourself either off mic or in the chat? We will keep going, but if you have the chance to do that, that would be great. All right, Crystal, you want to go to the next slide? So just a little icebreaker. And how do we want to do this, Crystal? Do you want people to just make notes for themselves on like if you have a little piece of paper, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and take this little quick quiz here. The number 1, all genes are inherited from only one parent, true or false? Identical twins have exactly the same DNA, true or false? DNA is located inside the cell's nucleus, true or false? Eye color can be passed from parents to children. A person's height can be influenced by both genes and diet. So these are all true or false questions. Lock in your answers on your own little sheets. And we will review the answers together. It would be interesting to see if anybody's answers are different than what we have as our answer key, or if there's any surprises for anybody.
Sorry,
So
how do we write?
Oh, you're just keeping track for yourself. We could also, we could do it out loud too. Let's do it this way. Question number 1 in the chat, put true or T or F for 1. All genes are inherited for only one parent. Got an F. Everybody seems to be in agreement on that one. Okay. Number 2, identical twins have exactly the same DNA. True or false? Put your questions in the chat. All right, everybody believes this is true. That's great. We have good agreement on that. Number 3, DNA is located inside the cell's nucleus. True or false? Not sure about this one, right? People are going with we got one going with the true. We got trues on this one. Okay. Eye color can be passed from parents to children. True or false? We got trues on that. And then the last one, a person's height can be influenced by both genes and diet. We've got trues on that. All right, Crystal, let's reveal our, yes. So everybody scored 100% on this quick icebreaker. Seems like we have some folks with a little expertise, a little knowledge in the room, so that's good. You're going to learn more before we leave. All right, next slide.
Yeah, this was just to kind of make, prove to everybody that you hear the word genomics and it sounds a little like intimidating and everything, but it's there and it's information and that we've kind of learned and everything, so it doesn't make it quite so intimidating when you break it down into what is some of the information. Okay,
so on this webinar, before we are done, I'm gonna share some framing about this project. We have a guest, Boomi, who is going to walk us through the resources that are available to you as educators or as a parent. We'll take some questions and then we'll tell you how to get started if you're interested in going further. So on to the next slide. Oh, and you kind of already met Crystal and myself. Boomi, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. And it was delightful to see the icebreaker. I had access to the slides a little before. And so when I saw it, I was testing my own self going through it. So it was kind of fun to see all of y'all do that. My name is Boomi Esho, as Ellie had mentioned. And I've been with STEM Next for the past 4 years, working with them kind of around actually family and community engagement as advisor there. So my kind of secret sauce and what I'm excited about is family engagement. So it's actually very exciting to have a parent on this call, as well, to see how they can, engage their child in this. My background is actually undergrad. I had studied chemical engineering, but what had kind of thrust me really into STEM was the family and community engagement that I had throughout my, I would say, K through 12 childhood, and really my mother as being that person who we would just do basic things like cooking at home that inspired me. And so really with the work that we're doing here, it's about how do we inspire our young people to really kind of start thinking about themselves as engineers, as STEMists, as STEM capable, because we all are. And so you as an educator, as well as you as a parent and caregiver, you have been doing the STEM work, and we're just here shining that light. So exciting to kind of share that today.
All right, so next slide. And for those of you who may not be familiar with MOST as an organization, you may have just found this webinar somehow on the interwebs. We are a statewide organization. We are trying to increase the access to high quality after school and summer learning program for all students across the state. We also serve as the backbone for the Maryland Coalition for Community Schools. So we're very involved in schools and education and the opportunities young people have both in the school day and outside of the school day. Please visit our website. We're gonna give you a cool link at the end of the webinar that has access to our newsletter and pretty much anything that's coming up immediately. But if you want to have more opportunities like this, make sure you subscribe and connect with us further. All right. And now, without further ado, I'm just gonna frame this a little bit, and then I'm gonna pass it back to Boomi to get into the details. So our big, hairy, audacious goal is that we are gonna reach 30,000 young people in Maryland with these high-quality materials. We're looking at grades 3 through 10. The curriculum is free and open, so you can use it anytime. You just certainly have to log on, and we're going to show you how to do that. Fill out a little information, and then it's all at your fingertips anytime you want it. You do not have to have any kind of deep science background to facilitate these workshops. You can learn together with your students, which we always love to do. And so it's hands-on, it's interactive, and there are career connections built into the materials so that you're not just doing an activity to do it, you're showing the relevance and the connection to the larger picture of the world, and what your young people might want to explore further. So I am gonna pass this over to Boomi to kind of walk you through this. I don't know if you want to say a few words about it and how we've got to this point.
Yeah.
And then we'll take the slides down and let you share and kind of get into it a little bit.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that segue, Ellie. It's exactly what I wanted to do. So this slide really is that holding slide. I'll go through these tips for success that I've kind of listed here. But what I wanted to first frame is STEM Next. If you have not heard of STEM Next Opportunity Fund in the past, we go by kind of the short name STEM Next. We are a nonprofit organization, actually, that has really kind of put in the sand really this idea, or rather, kind of put a stake on the ground, this idea of how do we build this engineering mindset for many of our K through 12 learners. We know it's through after school because many of our learners actually go to after school programs or out of school time programs, just like the ones that you have, led in the past. And even, as parents, you are part of that out of school time as well, because when your child comes home, they are doing something out of school. And so really when we think about that, we feel it's important to be able to build the capacity of folks who are leading these types of programs. And so we have really reached out to all 50 states have these, we call the statewide after-school networks. And so most is the one that really is centered in Maryland. And we have really been working towards how do we support all the different networks and how do we support all the different programs that exist across. Okay, here's somebody I hear someone. Okay. So how do we, in essence, support all of the various programs? And so what we have been doing over the course of many years is reaching out, connecting with the various states, finding out what they're doing when it comes to STEM, and finding ways to be able to support. So through this journey, because we do have a pulse too on what industry is doing in the space of STEM, we have just amazing partnerships that we've developed from Verizon. Verizon really kind of started this idea of learning journeys, and we were able to do that last year to now where Illumina came to us. We've had deep partnerships with them in the past, and they said they want to be able to do something. They want to be able to spread the word on genomics and the work they do, as well as the different careers that exist. And so what this is, and what I'll be showing you very soon, is the curated lessons around genomics. So really just thinking about genomics as DNA and what does it mean to do genomics work. And so I'll be kind of guiding you through the website that we've curated here on STEMnext. To do that, one of the things we've really wanted to do is make navigating the site and using the lessons easy. And so I've just kind of listed here the tips for success. Thinking about what we have done is we've added tutorials. So one, Ellie had kind of mentioned this intake form that you'll complete. There's a quick 3-minute tutorial to guide you through that. Thinking around navigating it, there is a tutorial too around just navigating this site. And for each of the learning journeys, there are tutorials there. And I'll guide through and kind of go step by step with one of the lessons or one of the genomics learning journeys to give you a sense of the flow for the site. Definitely after we've gone through all this, we don't expect you to know it all after today's webinar. So definitely go back to the tutorials or reach out to Crystal or Ellie for any questions. And I'm happy to, follow up with them on questions, or if there's enough questions, maybe we'll host an office hour to be able to kind of talk through that as well. So with that said, if we pull down these slides and I will share.
It's all yours.
Thank you. So at this point in time, everyone should see, and I will just kind of pull things up so I can, everyone should see my page. And what you're seeing now is the genomics learning journey, like I mentioned. Here, really to note is this website, and we showed it on the slide deck, and I know that you'll have access to that later. And I believe also that will be shared to in chat. It's stemnext.org, Genomics Learning Journeys. You can go in there, and when you do go in there, this first page is great because it really kind of guides you through the layout and how that layout looks. And so the way I've curated this learning journey is thinking through bundles. So just as we talked about this, making it really kind of easy for learners to go in and educators and parents and caregivers to go in and start accessing this, I've also curated lesson bundles, really thinking around age range as well as knowledge of genomics or DNA. So the intro lessons bundle has been curated really with that intensive. If you know nothing about this, you can still kind of go into this activity and do that. The intermediate lessons is really curating that same sense where maybe you know a little bit, or maybe you're in your child is in middle grades, you can access that. An advanced lessons bundle is really curated with that sense of you are in middle, you might be in early high school, you know some things about genomics, you want to think around like careers as well, have access to a virtual field tour. So you'll kind of see that with those lessons there. On this main site as well, you'll have access to a video tutorial. So if you click on this video tutorial, you'll actually open up to the kind of how to navigate this. And that's just, a Zoom link, and I've made it, open so anyone can access this and go through. It's a quick video to kind of just guide you through there. If you when you are actually accessing this, you do need to first go to you'll be kind of directed to fill out a form. I recommend that you click on this tutorial, which is actually access to how to go through the intake form. And being able to go through this intake form is going to give you just guidance of what information you need to have to put in your demographics and so forth. It'll take about 3 minutes to just go through that tutorial. It's totally worth your time because it'll prep you so that you're not going here and thinking, okay, what do I need to kind of put in together? So definitely click here. And then in these learning journeys, we have divided it into 3 different types. So you have DNA, the building blocks, that really kind of gets into just, the basics around DNA. DNA diseases, thinks about DNA in that sense of viral and bacterial, disease, and all these like really just relevant day-to-day experiences we might have. And then the role of biotech, kind of taking that next level and thinking of how technology and just different ways that we've designed our various tools helps us when we think about DNA and genomics. So to access the things, you can either kind of click up top or you can just hit go to lessons. And when I click on go to lessons, you see, so that intake form kind of question pops up for me. Once you have gone in, and it's not going to, I'm not going to go through the page of content that you have to go through the intake form. You'll get to see that the tutorial, but once you have completed it, like I've done, you just need to put in the email address that you used to complete your intake form, and you'll have direct access. And it just takes a few seconds to actually go to the content. So every time you go, usually it'll hold your email address for that day. But if you come in the next day, it'll ask for your email address again. But all it'll do is just ask for your email address. You don't need to input any kind of additional things. And so as I'm going through the building blocks and kind of looking at this, one, if you need kind of a refresher, you want to access this, you're not sure, okay, how do I navigate this particular learning journey? There is a tutorial, a video tutorial specifically for DNA, the building blocks. And it's the same for DNA diseases, and it's the same for DNA and the role of biotech. It's specific to that learning journey, but it's something as a guide if you want to. And it's very short, less than 15 minutes to be able to kind of just guide you through here. So as you go through some of the things that you're going to see, which the structure is the same, regardless of what learning journey, is that you will see the division between the intro, the intermediate, and the advanced bundles. You'll also see the recommended grades for each of the bundles. And then you'll see the total amount of time it'll take to access or to complete all the lessons in each of the bundles. Also divided that up based on the topics that you have, and we'll click through that for this. But I wanted you to kind of see that you can, if you just want a little taste, a snippet of things, you can go in and do getting to know DNA for 15 minutes. And that is a video, and we'll kind of get into that, as well. Or you can go into the hands-on activity, the genetics of the ear, where you'll have, different supplies and materials, and that will take you about 45 minutes to do. So you really have the opportunity to kind of figure out like, how much time do you have to be able to put that together. I've curated these bundles really thinking around kind of the ideas of, okay, let's, start off with the video, introducing that. Someone talks about their career and then getting into a hands-on activity that really can get your feet wet for, your youth. Um, as well as, interspersing that too with like another video that kind of talks about DNA, especially after they've done some activities. So there's interspersion of they're moving around, they're doing things in groups to that you're having a discussion and talking about this via video. And one thing I do want to kind of note too is all of this is a guide. If you are going in and saying, you know what, I actually don't want to just do the intro lessons bundle. Some of these other lessons and the other bundles sound interesting. And I think my person, my child or student learner can do the other ones. You can mix and match. So for me, like a recommendation would be if you wanted to kind of do this is the genetics of the ear is a great intro lessons or intro lesson that you can do for 45 minutes to really have kids thinking about genetics and how that, works. And then you might top that off for an hour-long lesson with what twins tell us about DNA. Because it gets into that idea of genetics. They already kind of thought about, oh, ear and like how that's different to, oh, wow, twins having the exact DNA copy. Let's talk more about that. So it gives that opportunity to really have your learners kind of thinking about DNA in a different way. So what I want to do now is just kind of show how the layout is of the lessons. So when I click on go to lessons for the intro lessons bundle, one of the things that you'll see kind of first and foremost is that there's the layout of all 4 lessons that exist in that intro lessons bundle from lesson 1 to, and so I'll kind of click on lesson 1 just to kind of give you a sense of what that looks like because I did talk about a video existing here. So lesson 1, you can, if you want to do all of the activities right off of this site, you can do that, especially you have access to kind of that consistent internet access. You don't, have to worry about that. You project this, on the board. You can definitely do that because the video is embedded. And I have, set it up where you can ask these group questions before. You can watch the video and they get through. And the video is like really quick. So the total time of 15 minutes can include you starting off with asking these warm-up questions to watching the video to having follow-up questions, or I'm going to go to previous. And what's great about this site too is that you can go back and forth. So if I go back to previous and look at the intro lessons bundles, again, what I want to show is you have that choice of staying on the page, or you can access the Google deck, the slide deck that we actually have on all of this. So particular for this intro and every lessons bundle, at the first top of it, it has what to present and you can click on that lessons bundle. This gives you the opportunity to actually use Google Slides and you can edit this. So I'll just click through this real quick so you can see it really is front-facing for your learners to kind of use in the questions that you want to ask them, discussion questions, activity questions. It really is a way for you to be able to just make this really easy to start having these conversations together. And if you look at this slide deck and you're like, oh, this is fun, I actually want to use this, you can either go to File and make a copy of the entire thing. And then when you make a copy onto your own Google Workspace, you can edit it as you like, or you can download it as if you have Microsoft PowerPoint. Not everyone has that, but if you do have that and you want to use it, you can download it and also save it as a PowerPoint and make copies, there. And to go back to that page, you just hit the back button on here. So scrolling through, so that one kind of gives you a sense of how the video layout is. If I click on lesson 2, which is very hands-on activity, you see here that the setup is also step-by-step, kind of gives you a guide. So what I, especially like about this, if you're especially going through this page, you can use the Google slide deck if you want to, but even just on this page, it really goes step-by-step on how do I prepare for this lesson. So you are given all the activities. If you want to refer to the actual guide that this activity was curated from, you can go to that page, that kind of main page there. You can also, it also kind of guides you too on copies of the handout that you want to print out for that, what you need, scissors, class camera if you want to, or camera phone, like just all the different supplies that you would need, as well as what you need to do during the lesson. So it is kind of giving you a step-by-step guide of what to do. And again, you can always kind of refer to the Google slide deck that gives you activity questions and discussion questions that you can use on this. One thing, and I will go back to DNA and the building blocks. And so this is another thing, is you can kind of hover over like the links that are here up at the top to take you back to where main pages are, the different pages. I did want to note, and I mentioned this before, that when you look at the intermediate lessons bundle, you see that there's more conversation on careers here than it is in the intro, because we know that with younger learners especially, they're still trying to, are developing awareness around that. With intermediate and middle school in particular, they're starting to kind of think about exploring careers. So there are videos that talk specifically about careers in different industries, which is kind of fun to think of. Oh, okay, so if I'm going into genomics, I can think about a career in food production. And it gives, example of an actual company that is focused on food production and talks about various careers there, has the scientists and engineers who work in that space talk about that. And then when we look specifically in the advanced bundle, also, again, same thing about thinking about careers and addressing that. But the added bonus is a virtual field trip. So there is that opportunity for learners to actually see, okay, how does that place look? How does the company look, or if it's a lab or wherever, look inside, and is that kind of exciting or not to access that? And so you see all of that in the flow, and that's the same flow that you're going to see regardless of whether you are going to the DNA one, and I'll just scroll through that DNA and diseases page, which again, same kind of flow there, and you can look, just wanted to kind of quickly show that. Or if you are going to DNA and the role of biotech. So scrolling back down to that, and you see same flow. And just like I said, video tutorial is there as well. And so you see that all set up. So with that, we'll stop sharing. So we can, field any questions that you might have over what I just shared.
Any questions for everybody?
And I guess one question I have is, after just going through this, how do people feel, maybe on scale 1 to 5, 5 being, yep, ready to do this, easy to do, and 1 being still not sure, might need some help and support. How would you rank yourself? And you can add that in the chat.
Over
If
there,
not, okay, yes, people are putting up their hands, love it. 5. Diana, put up. Others?
want to comment that we have 2 former most ambassadors in the group that arrived a little later, Mark Demora and Amanda. So, and Amanda gave a 5. So,
Great.
welcome to our
Excellent.
ambassador alumni. Already do parts of the lessons in our grade 4 to 5, but this will help us add more content. Excellent.
Excellent.
We love this.
And I think just going through myself, one of the things that I really liked about it is it doesn't take a lot of specialized equipment, or you don't have to buy these expensive science kits to be able to do it. A lot of it is just really everyday kind of items that you could probably search through your pantry to find 80% of the things that are there. So it's not going to be a break the bank. You don't have to go to a specialized website, or anything. These are really just pick them up and do them kind of activities.
And that is, and I have Diana's hand raised, and can take that from you. But one thing I did want to add to what Crystal said is that we really try to, we call it after schoolified it, because you have, a lot of times you have the thing in class and they'll do all that. And it's like, that won't work in after school. So really making sure that it does work for all. Diana, hand raised.
Yeah, I'm serving as a board of trustees for a school, and I'm wondering if in what your outreach is this are all schools informed of this? Public schools, private schools? Do you have those links? How can I help? I can help with with the private school I'm on the board for, but for others.
We were planning to do a big campaign around back to school time for schools themselves. We were kind of concentrating on the folks who might be running summer programs for this initial set of outreach. So going usually really through our typical channels, which is our newsletter, our social media, direct to programs we know are serving larger numbers of youth. We will actually be at the Maryland State Fair this year in the 4-H area, doing some of these activities there. And so we hope to also be able to spread the word to other educators through that experience. So yes, Diana, if you would love to give us a connection to the private school system, we'd be happy to share this with them, the independent schools, the archdiocese, whatever makes sense. And we're definitely going to do a back to school campaign around in-school educators. We think that'll be necessary to reach our big, hairy, audacious goal And we're happy to, again, these are materials that are open and free and ready to use for anyone. So, right, any help we can get in spreading the word would be great.
I would think too that this in advance perhaps of next summer's summer activity programs that towns and schools often host, this could be then incorporated into it. And speaking as a parent of a STEM daughter who's just, she went to Eleanor Roosevelt STEM program and then just graduated from St. Mary's with a dual in psych and neuroscience. And she is prepping for medical school now. So it's she's a little less afraid of the physics classes she's got to take, but otherwise, organic chemistry, she's just like, oh yeah, that's so easy. I'm like, okay, wow. Like, where did you come from? Speaking of funky, how DNA works, right? But yes, I would have loved to have seen these when my kids were younger.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for putting this together and for your efforts.
Yeah. And if she thinks organic chemistry is easy, then physics is nothing in comparison.
All that growth mindset, right?
Yeah.
You just have to believe that that you're going to be able to tackle it. That maybe it'll be a little up and down or a little struggling, but you'll get through it. Any other questions? All right, Crystal, you want to show our last couple of slides here?
Yep.
All right, so you already have the link in the chat. Crystal, if you want to drop that in the chat again, that is your go-to link. That is how you get all this stuff. And as Boomy said, there's a form. You probably know the answers to the questions on the form, but it doesn't hurt to take the little tutorial before, so you just have a little bit more information about what those questions are. Mostly they're about the demographics of your students. We're just trying to collect data about who is using these materials. So that's what the form is for. So go ahead, jump in there, play around, look at it. It's all there for you. Next slide. And last but not least, this is our email addresses. If you want to find Crystal or myself, we are always here for you. We will find out the answers to questions if we don't know them. And this will probably not be the last webinar we host on this topic, as we are really pushing this work through now to December. And so if you do have somebody for us that you think these materials would be useful for, we're happy to do more customized webinars for different audiences. So happy to do that. And then Crystal will also drop our link tree in the chat. That is the place where you can find all things most. Sign up for the newsletter, go to our website. Whatever is happening in the moment for us in terms of events and webinars, we keep them on this link tree, so it makes it really easy for people to find out about us. So Mark, we could even do a 4-H specific webinar if you would like. You give us the date and we will host it for you. Diana's got her hand up, and then I saw Minister Bordley come off mute. So I'll go Diana and then Pastor Bordley.
Oops. Sorry. I'm wondering what your plan is for evaluating the success of the program or the changes resulting from the program. I'm a researcher, evaluator, and youth specialist, so to me, it's all of a piece.
What a great question. And this is, I'll mention that there's actually 2 parts to our big, hairy, audacious goal. We are going to try to reach 30,000 with this general outreach, just filling out the form, counting up the numbers of people who are accessing the materials. But we have a subset of 3,000 that we are targeting to do a little bit more intensive data collection with. If you want to learn more about that, let us know. We can have a side conversation. We've been kind of working to identify partners we know work at scale. So 4-H, Boys and Girls Clubs, folks like that. I think we're going to also be partnering with Let's Go Boys. Let's Go. They're another STEM program, so that we'll actually be providing some of the materials to them. We'll be entering into an agreement with that group, and then we'll be surveying their students to get more data about the impact. So we have the 30,000 and we have the 3,000. Please let us know if you want to learn more about being in the 3,000. We are looking for large numbers for that. So we're talking about sort of 500 students as like a goal to partner with us on that, so that we have we're sure that we can reach those numbers in terms of the surveys. So open to those conversations. We are going to be working with the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Baltimore. We just set that up. They have 6 sites across Baltimore, plus Eastern Shore sites. And then Let's Go, as I mentioned, the 4-H, and we'll see who else comes into the mix on that. So I see you put Girls Inc. in the chat, and we can talk further about that and offline. Minister Bordley.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. You went back on mute.
Sounds like a great addition to STEM and the genome, I'm sorry. We're doing something similar with fish, tracking them in the water, and wanted to see, does it have its own specific lane, or can it be interchangeable to some degree, if that's a concept?
Umi, you want to try to answer that?
So when you mean, so do you mean that being able to mix and match with what you're already doing with the content that you have around food?
Yes.
Yep.
Does it have to be in its own separate lane?
No, so you can completely mix and match. I think that the great part about this is that the lessons are pretty standalone. So it's something where if you feel that, oh, it's valuable, maybe you already have a lesson on fish and you want to add kind of additional content. One, it could be a lesson maybe before you really go into specifics on fish, on just talking in general about DNA to bring that in, or it could be a comparison if you want around, like, here's the fish in comparison to like humans, in comparison to, you know, what it is that they might be dealing with that is similar to us. So you can really mix and match it as you see fit.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
So we are at 12:52. Nobody ever minds if you end a webinar a couple minutes early. But we are still here for a couple of seconds, if you have one more question or idea. Diana, we're happy to connect with you offline. You grabbed our emails. I'll make sure that they're in the chat. And we can set up some time to talk more about how to connect with your networks to share this information. I think that's it, unless anybody, I hope everybody is, you know, staying cool as much as possible. You know, and getting ready to enjoy at least some part of the summer. I know I swim almost every day during the summer just to get outside and try to do something fun. And that works pretty well and it's still in the heat. But I know a lot of other people's activities are not as easy to do with this weather, this heat dome that is sitting on top of us for the next little while. So just keep it hydrated, and we will hopefully get to the other side of this. Oh, drones don't like heat. I didn't realize that. I could imagine that they wouldn't like humidity for sure. And we have tons of that too right now.
I think
So-
what Minister Bordley is doing with the young people sounds ideal.
Yeah, having them out on the water.
Where can we join?
Phone call away. Just let me know.
Happy to be a mentor. I'm in Maine, so
Okay.
I'll be back on Saturday, but in Maryland, but I stayed up here specifically for an extra couple of days to avoid, although it was more than 90 here too, but not as bad.
And hot.
I keep saying I'm gonna have to move. If this continues, I'm gonna have to move north. I just don't like, I'm a person who would much rather put on a sweater than, and then, I mean, there's just a point, you can't take anything more off, right? Like, you can't remove your skin. So, you can always put on a hat and some mittens and, bundle up. But, anyway, so enjoy the last 5 minutes, of your hour, be in touch, and thank you so much all for being here. And Boomy, thank you for being here and sharing all the good stuff. And thank you for your work on this, curating this work. It's really impressive, and hopefully you will all find it useful and you will share it with others.